Welcome to the Movement PT Coffee Cast, where we sit down and talk about physical therapy, health, and whatever else comes to mind during our coffee-infused conversations. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Movement PT Coffee Cast. My name's Dalton, and with me, as always, is my beautifully bearded friend, William. William, how are we doing today?
Doing amazing, man. I've been using my new coffee maker that I got.
I knew you were going to come out strong with that. Hold up on that for a second, because we're going to talk about it. But before we talk about that, not only are you beautifully bearded, but you're beautifully faded. And I think you need to give a shout out to your barber, bro, because your cut is fresh.
Shout out to my barber.
That's it? He doesn't even get a name drop?
I don't know his name. I wish I did. Unnamed barber.
Yo.
Walker's Barbershop in Burlington.
Man, I'm telling you, if you guys have not seen Will's haircut, you got to go on his Instagram and you got to check out his new fresh cut because it looks dope.
New year, new me, you know?
Hell yeah. Man, all right, let's get into the coffee. Okay, so this is going to be our last cup of 2018, man. This is crazy.
Hey, Dalton, cheers, brother.
Cheers. I can't really clink you because we
can
like the same place.
Go really close to the screen, you know?
Internet cheers. Yeah, man. Tell everyone about your new toy because I want to hear about it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got perhaps the most epic coffee maker that is in existence. Basically, I've wanted one of these for a long time. It's the type of brew is called a vacuum pot, but I guess I don't know if it's a brand or whatever, but it's called a siphon. And we also got recommended from Danny Lair, Caffeine to Kilos, when we had him on the podcast. He let us know if there's one type of coffee we got to get. It was between that and the Bright, which we could get into a bit later, maybe. But,
yeah, maybe a different time.
Yeah, maybe a different time. But I got this siphon, and if you have not seen one, you should look them up. They take a long time to make, but they are really fun.
And the coffee quality?
I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was gonna be one of those things where it's a show. And then, the coffee just tastes mediocre.
Yeah.
But honestly, it is really good. I would say it's kind of a mix between, I've always been describing it as a mix between an AeroPress and a Chemex.
Okay.
So it's got the kind of lightness of a Chemex, but then it's got a little more mouthfeel, like tipping it towards like the AeroPress, so it's a little thicker.
Okay.
It's really good.
I could be down with that.
I cannot wait for you to try it, though.
Yeah, I'm hyped. I think it comes back to the whole process of it all, right? Like that's something that we really enjoy about the coffee is like taking the time to, grind up your beans, this smell of coffee, and now you got this like chemistry set where you do some crazy shit and you got this cup of coffee at the end and it's glorious.
That's right. Life's too short to rush it,
Exactly, man.
You gotta take. I've heard so many people, and look, we're down for whatever people want to do. We've been very open about that. But you've got 5-10 minutes in your day. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
And if you like coffee, take the time.
Take the time.
Make it interesting.
It's worth it.
Good. Yeah.
Man. All right. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So,
what are we going to talk about today?
I don't know. I'm just very hyped up on coffee. So whatever comes out, it's coming out. No, I think what we're going to talk about is kind of just we're wrapping up 2018. And I think for both of us, 2018 was a big year. A lot of great things, a lot of things we struggled with at times. But I think we learned a lot about ourselves over the course of this year. So I think we kind of just wanted to maybe discuss some of those things, talk about our journey with like the movement, with the PT Coffee Cast, and then maybe talk a little bit about where we're headed in the new year. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, nor do I think we really even know exactly what we're going to do, but we have some exciting things like hopefully coming down the pipe. So yeah, I mean, let's just kind of start it off. I think one of the things, I'll just start off maybe with one of the things that I think I learned over the course of like this year in terms of like our page and just with school and graduating and life, would be that you're always in control, no matter like whether there's someone else involved. Let's just say like, school, for example, like you have to take what they're teaching you and you have to learn it and you have to pass the test, but you're also in control of learning what you want to do. Right. Whether it's a job that you're at that you have a boss and you have someone that's dictating what you need to do. Yeah, you have to respect that. But at the same time, if you have a vision that's bigger than what they're offering you, then you're in control to change that. And I think like one thing that we've learned throughout our experience is like, if we want to do something that we're passionate about and that we'd like there's options out there. Nowadays, there's no excuses. Like you can go and find information anywhere that will allow for you to create like what you want. And it may not be easy and it may be hard, but like, if you want it, you have the ability to do it. And I think that's a huge thing that like I learned personally over the course of this year that's really helped me get to where I am now personally and where like we are with with what we've been doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's, kind of just bouncing off what you were saying, there's so much potential nowadays with how accessible everything is. And for us, we really just at the beginning, we sat down and we were like, I'm not sure if it happened so formally like I'm describing right now, but we kind of sat down. We're like, what do we like? What do we like doing? Mm-hmm. And we kind of realized that one of those was definitely connecting with people. We like to connect and we love coffee and we love training and exercise. And bingo bango, that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? And then when you do that, when you decide what you want, you just start doing that in some way, shape, or form. You start meeting people along the way that can help you refine the process. And I think the vision has become more and more clear as we've gone, because we kind of just initially sat down and just figured out what we are and what we want to be and what we like doing. And it's kind of like just spun from there.
Yeah. And I think you make a good point is like one of the things too is like there's never a right time to just start. Like if you have something that you want to do and you want to go for, like you can you'll always find a way to push that off and be like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I think we did that. We did that for a while. So like, let's not make people think that we're like different. Like we did that, but then we got to the point where like, you know what, we have a solid enough vision in terms of like what we want to stick with. Like, let's just go for it and see what happens. And I think that was the best decision that we ever made, because then as we started putting like ourselves out there and just doing it, we started making connections, we started meeting people, and we started learning along the way. And that allowed us to get to where we are now. And I think like, I mean, we can kind of take the timeline, like one of the big things, like, and I know I don't want to bring his name up again because we talk about him a lot, but like one person that really changed us over this year, and I think we really need to give him credit for it, is Nick Hanna. Way back when we first started our page, I would say it was probably like maybe a month in, we reached out to Nick on Instagram, like obviously because we were both in the same city, and asked if we could meet up and just chat with Nick. And Nick, being the dude that he is, said yeah. And we met up with him. And from that point on, like that meeting and that conversation will ever hold like a special place like with us, because it gave us like the reinforcement and the confidence that that we needed to continue on with like what we were doing. And even on a bigger thing, I think what it made us realize is that like your number one goal should always be to help someone and to give without expectation, because Nick did that for us, and he was positive and he supported us, and it led to us getting to where we are now. I think back to that like conversation, it could have went a completely different way, and may have like deterred us from doing what we ended up doing. I think we were strong enough in our vision that we would have kept going through it. But the fact that Nick was so positive and supportive with us, like it changed our perspective and how we wanted to act going forward. And the one thing I'll never forget Nick told us, and I've still, like, we still do this to this day, is like he always told us to take the high road. And I think doing that has been a huge impact with where we're at now. So yeah, I mean, I hate talking about Nick on every podcast, but I think that's something that we needed to get out there, because that's a big factor into like what led us to where we are now.
No, that's huge. And I mean, like, that's the thing, right? And we've talked about this before. You can look at, yes, the following can grow and all that stuff. And there's the content that's put out on social media, but it's not about that. That's not where the value comes from. The value comes from the people that we've reached out to and connected and gotten to learn something from all of those people. Yeah. That value extends into your life, your career, and it helps you develop overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I think you can get misconstrued, right? Like with like just the Instagram culture that we live in now, like, people see the followers and the likes and like, yeah, that stuff's cool, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like it's not cool when we get like someone that messages us or likes our stuff or follows us. Like that's cool, but like it's not even about that at all. Like we just look at the amount that we've learned and the relationships that we've created, like the experiences that we've had, man. Like we've had the ability to connect with someone like Emma, who just like out of nowhere was like, yeah, I'll come and record a podcast with these two guys who I don't know. I'll come to your apartment at 8:00 at night. And then we ended up, making a connection, and we go and we do Pilates with her, and like we see her clinic, and now, she's doing her own thing. She's about to open her own clinic, and we have a relationship with her, man. And then like you look at obviously like Zach and Steph and like the level up, like them again, like we didn't know them a year ago. All we did was reach out to Zach on Instagram, and now, they're like a big mentors in our mentors and friends, like in our lives, like that have had big impacts on us. So like that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, for people that aren't aware, Dalton actually went down to Boston and spent a week with Zach and Steph, and just kind of went to the clinic, learned about what their culture's like, and that's an experience you're never gonna forget.
Yeah, and from like just a life standpoint, but also from like a physio standpoint, like the stuff that I learned there, the stuff that we've learned just communicating with other people. Like we've talked with a lot of people in different areas, like Jared Hall, like Greg Lehman, like Adam Meekins. Like we've talked to these people that it's like it doesn't even seem real at times that we actually did it. Like now reflecting back on it, it's just like it's pretty cool to think about like the connections we made that all just stem from us, being like, yo, like, let's just start this page.
You know what I wanted to kind of talk about as you were talking there is the idea, that social media is kind of a spot where everything you see is kind of good. Mm-hmm. Everything appears, better than your reality and stuff. And I think, that's definitely true. Just going to put the record out there that there's tons of bumps in the road, like we've had lots of, I would call them mistakes, lots of areas where we kind of screwed up. We were disorganized. For example, we had Greg Lehman on the podcast. There was like a miscommunication as to how we were getting connected, and it ended up being like an hour delayed. Or with Danny Lair, we couldn't get our video to start working on the podcast. We have had some negative criticisms. There's been a lot of that. But if you go in with the right attitude and approach, which I like to think that we do for the most part, those mistakes end up making you way better off. You learn so much from those mistakes, And so, yeah, things aren't perfect. There's a lot you're not seeing behind the scenes of somebody's social media page. But I think hopefully, behind the scenes, there's a lot of good stuff happening.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think it's important to be like open and honest about that, so that people understand that, it's not all just like just what you see, right? Like there's a lot of struggle with it. And I mean, I think we could probably do a better job of maybe like communicating those struggles to people, like to make people realize that like, you know, it's not all about like, you're not just going to have all the good, like there's going to be bad with it. But yeah, I would agree. Like, is there anything like you would say like summary wise over the last year that you really learned about yourself or learned about like just the process of what we've done?
I think I've really just learned that I'm in control of what I want to do with my life. And, you know, I can make it happen if I put the work in. And that's something, to be honest, never had that confidence before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am hearing impaired, and that's been something that's kind of held me back in the past. It's made me kind of maybe rely on some other people to make things happen for me. And I no longer use that as a crutch. I own it. And I think I just realized I'm the captain of my ship, you know?
Ooh.
And I want everybody to have the potential to get to that point. I think that's what I've really learned. What about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of touched on the same thing. I think it's powerful when you get to that place. And I think both of us have gotten there. And I think that's kind of what's leading into, I guess we can kind of segue into like the new year, right? Is like our goal is to take like our vision that we've always had, let's say for a long-term plan, thinking like, oh, this is going to be maybe 5 years down the road. And we're just saying, screw it. We're going to go for it now because like, why wait? And I think the opportunity itself is never going to be perfect. So I think like taking that next step for us is just like, we're going to go for it now. Right. So whatever that is, you know, we'll see how it plays out over the next little bit for us. But I think we need just people to understand is like, if you want something, like don't wait for it, just go for it. Cause like, what's the worst going to happen? Like you're going to go after it and then you fail and then you just go back and like, we can only just go and do our thing, you know, at whatever clinic we want to do our thing at, you know? So I think like really what we're going to try to do is take our brands or whatever you want to call it, to the next level in terms of like actually starting to make it something, rather than just an Instagram page. And that's going to involve the people that we've been connected with. It's going to involve hopefully being able to actually start seeing people and treating people and helping people, the way that we want to, and on our own terms, behind like our own brand that we've built. So like, that's cool. Like that's exciting. We don't know exactly what that's going to be yet, but
yeah, we're going to have some, like, we're trying to line up some really good podcasts coming up. Who have we got that we know we're going to have on the podcast?
Physio Tutors coming up. Ian, Duck Leg Boys. Finally, we've been freaking trying to get them on. Who else? Molly Parker. Actually, I just talked to her today. She's down. We
could probably do some part twos, like
definitely
some of the people we had.
Definitely part twos with our dude Andy Chen, Nick Hanna, that freaking guy. Maybe with him. Yeah, we got a lot of like cool podcasts coming up that we're excited to put out to you guys.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well,
good ride, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm glad that we got to share this last cup of coffee with each other in 2018. We'd also like to just thank you guys. Like we're hoping like you guys are riding into 2018 in a good spot. And if you're not, like, what's that?
2019.
Sorry, 2019. And if you're not, you know, like make 2019 the year where you decide to do like what you want to do. You know, there's no better time than now. So we just want to thank you guys again for the support over the last, you know, year since we started. It's still mind blowing to us, like whether you've, you know, support us on Instagram, our podcast, wherever, you know, we really appreciate the support on all aspects. Like it literally motivates us to continue to do this, every single day. So thank you very much. We hope we've provided you with some value, and we hope you guys rock with us into 2019 because we got some cool stuff coming up.
Yeah, for real. Like, we really appreciate it when anyone reaches out to us. We appreciate every guest that's ever been on the podcast, that's come on and like spent time with us, and those, that means a whole lot, you know. We're always available for anybody to reach out, ask questions, whatever, connect you to somebody. Just send us a message.
Yeah. So send us a message. You can do that on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at the MVMT PTs. You can email us at themovementpts@gmail.com. If you guys enjoyed this podcast or have enjoyed any one of our podcasts, please head over to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a review, leave us a rating. It really helps us move up the charts. And that's it. I'm done plugging. Guys, we appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful New Year's, and we'll see you in 2019. Peace.